Hi everyone, in today's video I'm just going to show you how I created the cutting file for a design I put on a sweatshirt for Christmas. Now I needed some kind of like a Christmas jumper, and to be honest I don't do Christmas jumpers, I don't particularly like them, but I did have a plain black sweatshirt and I decided to create a decoration in heat transfer vinyl to put on the front, and it turned out really nice and I got compliments on it. And I posted it on social media and a couple of people asked me where was the file from, and somebody asked me how did you do that. So I know this is after Christmas now, but I will link to the file because obviously you can use it next year if you want to. I didn't record a video at the time of me making the sweatshirt, so I didn't record a video showing how I cut the vinyl. I actually used the loklik cutter. Because to be honest, it was kind of like a last minute thing. I needed something and I came across this design and I just decided to make it one evening and I needed it for the next day. So I didn't record it. I've got the loklik Idea Studio software opened and I've got the file on my desktop with the SVG cutting file that I used. So I'm just going to show you how I brought it into the software, how I positioned it, and I'll explain then how I went on and cut it. And you'll see in the thumbnail what the finished item looked like if you're watching directly on YouTube. But if you go to the title of this video, if you're on YouTube, you may see something that says more or show more. If you click on that, the first link generally under the description of the video is generally a link to my website and blog. And if you go to my blog, you'll see I'm going to try and post a little video that I did when I made this design, which I posted on my social media, and that's where I got the questions and the comments from. So I'll try and post a little video in a blog post. There'll also be a link to the SVG cutting file in the blog post as well. And it's a Creative Fabrica design, and I'll also give you a link to Creative Fabrica. If you don't know what that's all about, you might want to consider joining. Since I joined, I've definitely had more than my money's worth in either cutting files or embroidery files or designs that I've used, for personal use. So it really is worth considering taking up the joining offer. Anyway, as I say, I've got the software open. I'm working in inches, so I've changed my mat. If you click on the left hand corner of your mat here, you can see you can change it to millimeters, pixels or inches. I've got mine in inches. So if you come up to the top of the page, the second icon along is import. I'm going to select import. I'm going to navigate to my desktop, which is where I've got the file saved. I'm going to double click on the file, and in the file there is an SVG. I'm going to open that and that's going to come onto my mat. Now this is a grouped item, okay? So basically what I did, everything that you see here in black, I cut in white heat transfer vinyl. Then I kind of took the lead from the colours that are here in the letters, and I cut each one of those in glitter heat transfer vinyl. The way I worked out how to do this was I selected the design, I right clicked on it and I chose ungroup, and then I just left clicked anywhere on the page to deselect, and then I was able to select the individual items. Now what you can also do is come over to the right hand side to the layer panel, and you'll see the coloured letters in the cutting file. So if I click on the kind of beigey colour, letter Y, it highlights the letter Y, and when it's selected it tells me it's 1.60 by 2.40 high, so just over 1.5 inches wide and just under 2.5 inches high. If I click on the greeny coloured R, you'll see that that's 1.30 or maybe 1.36, I can't quite tell from here, wide and 2.3 high. And again, if you work your way through the others, you'll see they're all you know, there or thereabouts, about 1.5 inches wide and about 2.5 inches high. So basically what I did, I cut pieces of glitter heat transfer vinyl in the 5 colours that I had kind of nearest to this. So basically I did a red, I did a pink. For the blue I did dark blue. I had a kind of a turquoisey colour which I used here, and then instead of this kind of beigey colour I had a kind of goldy beige with a hint of like a pink in it. So I cut myself a piece of, you know, red, a piece of pink, piece of blue, etc. And I cut them about 3 inches high and about 2 inches wide. And then everything else, as I say, that's shown here in black, all cut together, but I cut that in white heat transfer vinyl. So I selected everything. I came to the top of the page where it says horizontal flip, and I flipped it horizontally, obviously because I was using heat transfer vinyl. And then I positioned it, the whole thing as it is, up in the top left-hand corner. Then I went back to the layers panel and I got my red letter, and then just using the arrows on my keyboard, I put 1 letter in each corner of the mat, like so. Then I went to the E and I moved that in another corner. Then I went to the R and I moved that down and over. And I gave myself a little bit of room, but you can see here that this is easily sat within a 3-inch high by 2-inch wide box. And then I went to the other one and I did exactly the same. I moved it down and across, so it, you know, sat within these like 6 boxes here, which are 3 inches by 2 inches effectively. And then for the Y, I put that in the middle of the mat. Okay, now the M is the only one that's wider, you know, a bit wider than the others. Like I say, all the others are around about 1.3, 1.6 wide, but the M is 1.9. So again, so long as it sits within, you know, like 3 inches high, and it's, I think the red one I cut at 2.5 wide by 3, and all the others are cut at 2 by 3. So long as it sits within that section of the mat, you're fine. So then from here, once I'd got this all placed, I went to connect device, which I'm not going to do now. And then I came down to materials. I chose Loklik as the brand, even though the coloured vinyls were cut in heat transfer vinyl from GM Crafts, and I think 1 or maybe 2 of the other letters were Cricut heat transfer vinyl, glitter vinyl that is. So the 5 letters of the Merry were cut predominantly in glitter heat transfer vinyl from GM Crafts, and I did either 1 or 2, I can't remember now, was glitter heat transfer vinyl, which was Cricut. And like I say, everything that you see on the screen in black, so the thin outline and the word Christmas and the heart, this was all cut in white, plain white heat transfer vinyl, which was Loklik. But I chose Loklik for everything. I cut the white elements first. So I came to Loklik, I came down to material, and I chose basic heat transfer vinyl. And then I went up to the layers and I chose everything that was to be black, and I went to cut. And then from here, it's not going to let me go to the next page because I've not got the cutter on. But basically from here, when I went to cut, just what you see here in black on screen was in the cutting settings. I loaded my mat with white heat transfer vinyl. Just going to close this down. and I cut a piece that was 12 inches wide by 7. I think I did 12 by 7. I put that on my mat and I cut the white first. Then I went back to the cutting device. I unselected everything that was in black and I selected the colours, the 5 colours. And then this time I left it on loklik and I went to glitter HTV. And then when I hit cut again in the next window, you'll just see the 5 coloured letters on the cutting screen. And I loaded my loklik mat with a piece of red. I'll just cancel that again. So with a piece of red in the top left, a piece of pink or whatever I can't remember what I cut it in now, but you'll see it in the thumbnail. So I placed one piece of vinyl in each of the 4 corners and one in the middle. And I kept it as loklik material, even though it wasn't, the glitter heat transfer vinyl wasn't loklik. And I chose glitter heat transfer vinyl, and it cut perfectly fine. And then I did the trick that I've shown in a previous video where I used my Cricut Easy Press and I warmed my pressing mat and I put the heat transfer vinyl down to help me weed it all out. And then basically I folded a black sweatshirt in half and pressed a fold line down the middle, and then I positioned my white heat transfer vinyl on the front of the sweatshirt and pressed it on. And then once I'd pressed that on and peeled the clear transfer paper away, I then went in and positioned each of the colours into each of the letters that are here. And you'll see in the video, this design is not meant to line up perfectly. So like this letter M is not meant to sit perfectly in this black thin outline. They're all kind of offset ever so slightly. So basically what I did, I opened up the JPEG image that's in the cutting file, and you should be able to see that the red is kind of slightly offset from the thin black outline, and so is all the others. And I used that as my reference point for how to line them up. But also, I'll try and zoom in on this as well. These very, very thin black lines are kind of cut into the letters. Can you see on this red one here? You'll see where there's like white behind, and that's the mat. And basically, these thin black letters kind of sit in those spaces. So it is easy to line up and get it to look how it's meant to look. So that's how I created the design. Like I say, you'll see it in the thumbnail, but if you go over to my blog, and the link is, in the description box directly below the title of this video, I'll try and put a close-up or photo of it as well. And I did, as I say, a 8-second video which I posted on my social media when I'd made it. I'll try and post that on the blog as well, and you'll hopefully see how shiny and everything it turned out. And it turned out really nice. So I will be doing more videos in the future where I'm, probably doing various colours of designs on clothing. So I will do another video and I'll record it as I go. But a couple of people asked how I did it. So basically it's the style of the design, that's how I laid it out on my cutting mat using the loklik cutter. So I hope that helps. Please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Sorry that this isn't going up until just after Christmas, but I've just been busy and I had other videos that were already scheduled, and I just didn't have time to, put anything together to try and explain how I did it. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't want to cut it again because, as I say, I just needed some kind of a Christmas jumper or top, if you like, for a specific appointment. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.